Oh, too early.
Welcome to the Masterful morning show. We're glad to have you here. And we're so glad because we have Ryan Kluttz here. Welcome, Ryan.
Hi, thank you.
So Ryan is the founder of A Mindful Bride. She helps brides who are stressed out, especially at this time when weddings are getting postponed and canceled and tweaked and all sorts of things. And she helps them get through that. And she's also a masterful manifester and a dear friend of ours. So we are so glad to have her on the show. Ryan, can you tell us anything else to our audience about what you do?
Yeah, so basically what happened back in, was it mid-March? All weddings were just destroyed. All wedding plans were completely destroyed, especially for 2020, but also even into 2021. And you have it from all angles. So not only have the venues started to shut down and vendors are having to make their plans change based on safety, but you have family members and friends telling brides that it's not okay to be upset about these changes in a time like this, which is extra upsetting. So they're already sad because of what they're going through, and then they're even more upset because they're being told that they're not allowed to be sad about that because what's going on in the world, people are dying, that's a selfish way to be. And so I'm letting them know it's okay to feel how you feel. It's important to let those feelings out. And it's also important to set boundaries and to take care of yourself, especially right now.
Ryan, one of the things I love following you, following all your posts, and obviously knowing you as a friend and is in the groups that we're in together. Being someone that's so in tune with being a mindful bride, a wonderful mother, and also a masterful manifester. Oftentimes I talk a lot with women and I coach women, and I find that so often when we get down to it, they're so afraid to dig into what they want because they're afraid to go after it. Because somewhere in there, they're telling themselves that it's selfish, that they need to put everyone else first and everyone else's needs first. And that's really what they're focused on. But by the time I get to them and talk to them, they're so flustered and they don't know what to do. They're stuck and all of those things. What is something that you can offer, a tip or anything like that, to those women as far as being able to go after what it is they want and still be, a good mom and a provider?
Yeah, so I love that question because you hear this all the time. You have to put your oxygen mask on first before you help others. And that analogy is really good. But I remember whenever I would hear it, I would think, well, no, I'm not going to put mine on first. I'm going to put on my children's mask first, and I'm going to make sure my husband has his on, and then I'll get to it. Well, but if you don't put your mask on first, you're going to pass out, and then what good are you to anyone? And so the analogy that actually spoke to me even more is that you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't show up for your family, for your spouse, for your family or friends. You can't show up for anybody if you have not filled up your own cup first. And so you want to pour into your cup first, and they get the overflow. And there's all sorts of analogies, like you wouldn't get mad at your phone or think that your phone is selfish for needing to be plugged in and be charged back up. But that's what we do to ourselves. We get upset with ourselves if we feel that we need to take time away. And I've just come to realize I can see it. If I don't take that time in the morning to do my meditation and journaling and visualization, I am not the same person throughout the rest of the day. I'm just not. And so I'll get to a point where if I haven't done it, then I will have to step away and go take care of that, or else things spiral out of control. And a lot of times mothers especially are the glue for the family. And so if you're not taking care of yourself, you just don't have the energy to take care of everyone else. And it seems counterintuitive, because we have this idea out there that the mothers just give, and they're not allowed to get anything back, because it's such a joy to be that person that gets to give. And there is joy in the giving, but you have to also set a boundary and make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And taking care of yourself could mean a lot of different things too. It could be, the sort of stuff that is sort of surface level, like taking a bath with candles, but it could also be setting a boundary. Like, I've got my kids in the next room over here, and I let them know before I got on the call that they have to wait until I'm finished if they need something from me. And if they can't wait, they have to go ask daddy. That's a boundary. I have to set that boundary for myself, or I turn into a crazy person. And so it's about self-care and boundaries, and then also just learning how to release the emotions when they come up, and recognizing that they're not bad or good, they're just feedback.
Well, and I like to point out, you're just such an excellent role model in that, and you are always going after your dreams. You seem to communicate very well with your family, and incorporating everyone's desires and wishes as well. So it's just such a beautiful balance. And like I mentioned, oftentimes I just want to show you as an example as far as being able to go after what it is you want and still really have a beautiful, wonderful family. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So you might know this fact already, Ryan, but there's a good way to tell when a wedding's going to be emotional.
I haven't heard this one.
The cake is usually in tears.
Oh man, I had not heard that one. I'm going to use that.
So being around the preparation of weddings and things like that, what would you say to brides is your biggest go-to advice for them right now?
So the three things that I talk about most are, again, setting those boundaries and taking care of yourself, and then releasing emotions. And I would say start with self-care, because as you start to take care of yourself, take time to help yourself recharge, you start to gain confidence in the ability to set those boundaries. And so boundaries with brides is a little bit different, because there's two things. When it comes to weddings and babies, those are the two things where everyone feels like their opinion is very important, and you should take it on and do what they say. And so you have people coming at you from all angles: family, friends, vendors, strangers, telling you, because if they see that ring on your finger, they have an opinion. And so they're telling you what they think you should do. And you don't have to, get combative and tell them, like, I don't like that idea, or I don't have to listen to what you say. You can just smile and nod and say thank you. But just keeping in mind that it doesn't matter what they have to say. If it doesn't resonate with you, it goes in the garbage. And so sometimes, a lot of times with weddings, the claws come out, because people want you to do what they say, but you might have a different idea. And then especially right now, with this extra dynamic of being told it's not okay for you to feel this way because of what's happening in the world, the boundary can be, okay, I'm not talking to you about this. And you don't have to say that. You can just be like, I'm gonna go talk to someone else, and I'll talk to you about other things. It's the same thing that we talk about with goals in Masterful Manifestors, about how you don't need to share your goals with everybody. You need to share them with the people that you trust the most and that are going to lift you up. And the same goes with your not so, well, Tyler and I call them, Tyler's my husband, for those of you who don't know. we call them the unsavory feelings, because I don't like to call them negative, because they're all part of who we are. Everybody experiences all the emotions, but the ones that don't feel great, you kind of want to get rid of them faster. And so it's just, you just have to let it out, set those boundaries with people. And some people need a really hard boundary, and then other people, it's just like, hey, it'd be great if you would do XYZ for me instead of whatever. But I also tell brides that for a boundary that they can set that's really easy is to have a copy paste message in their notes on their phone. And every time somebody texts them about, what have you decided to do with your wedding? Are we still invited? Or did you move your date? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Copy paste. Thank you so much for asking. All of the information that's most updated is actually right on my wedding website. And here's the link. So if you're ever looking to find an answer to your question, you can go right there and find it. Thanks so much for asking. Like it's that simple. And you're going to have people who will continue to ask. But I've talked about this before, about it's actually insane to me that people feel that they can send you a text message and just expect you to drop what you're doing and answer. I keep my phone on do not disturb pretty much 24/7. And so I'm kind of trying to help people change that idea in your head that just because you have a phone and you have texting on your phone, that doesn't mean that you have to just answer every text that comes through or stop for every notification. So boundaries is a big one, but self-care comes first, because as you start to take care of yourself better, you realize how important the boundaries are. And then letting those emotions out in whatever way feels best to you, that's healthy, not like binge eating or the bad stuff, but letting them out in a healthy way. That's all really, really important, for especially right now, but it's always important.
One of the things that I don't remember, I think it was, we were talking personally, but it might've been on a post, but I love how you, with weddings, how they can get so crazy sometimes, just emotionally, just so caught up, is how you help brides refocus, and not just brides, couples refocus on what the importance is. Can you kind of touch on that real quick?
Yeah, so right now there's a lot of focus on COVID and how it's affecting the wedding, but ultimately you're getting married and you have a lifetime together. And so what gets put in the shadows is the time that needs to be taken to prepare for your life afterwards. There's a lot of emphasis put on the wedding itself and all of the different facets of the wedding, the tiered cake and the DJ and the ceremony and all of that stuff. And it's really easy for brides especially to forget about the fact that, oh yeah, I will be married after this, and maybe we should spend some time talking about what we want that to look like. And I know for me, 13 years ago, I was definitely one of those brides that was just really focused on the wedding itself. And then after we got married was when we started dreaming together more and thinking about how we wanted our lives to look. But it's actually really beneficial to do that while you're planning your wedding, so that it actually kind of comes full circle. If you're focused on the marriage and how epic it's going to be, the wedding just becomes like this fun thing you get to do at the beginning of it. It's not the end all be all, and you don't have what's called the wedding hangover, which is that thing where you spend all this time planning the wedding and you've forgotten that you are actually getting married to someone on that day, and you don't know what to do with yourself, or you have all this extra time once the wedding is over because you gave so much of your time to the wedding planning. So that is actually the next step, is looking forward to what I like to call your epic love story. And I really want to encourage people to know that whatever your dreams are, you can come together and find ways to live them out together. And that's what we've done. And we also just don't care what other people have to say about that. You know, we have you guys are not these people, but we do have people in our lives that think that we're crazy, and that's fine, but we do what we want.
I love that. I want to dive a little deeper, Ryan, before we tell the brides where they can, learn more about you, and talk about a little bit your happily ever after right now, because we've kind of been on a journey together in Masterful Manifestors. And when I look at my year so far, the 2020 year, a lot of the changes I've made for the better have been because you're my role model and you've taught me these crazy, amazing things. And yeah, from 100% tipping to creating mind movies, and yeah, so much of what has really helped me get through these rough times, these stressful times, even though I'm not a bride, I'm a wife, but has been because you have instilled these positive habits, in our community, really. Not just me. I know I'm not the only one that's been impacted. So I'm curious, just in terms of your 2020 experience and our journey together, like, what has been the most impactful for you creating that joy in your family and your marriage? What is something that brides could look forward to? You've been married for over 10 years, right?
13.
13, yeah. So what is that for you all?
So this year especially has been insane. But I remember telling people, you get that excitement, January 1st, of I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And as these last few years have been the years where I've actually accomplished those things that I talk about at the beginning of the year. And I don't set resolutions, but I do use that energy that comes with the first of the year to kind of push forward faster. And I was so excited. I was telling people 2020 is going to be a leap year for me, and I meant like energetically and all this stuff. And then COVID came. It was actually the day after my birthday that everything here just shut down. And I was like, well, man, at least I got to have my birthday. And so there was like also a time of straight up fear, and I don't know what's happening. I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know what to do. And then we went for a walk, just the two of us, and we had this amazing conversation that we get to decide how we're going to feel about this, and we get to make choices about how we behave moving forward and what we're going to focus on no matter what is happening around us. And that shifted everything for the two of us. And then like you guys know, the first round of Masterful Manifestors, the 90-day challenge, I was very quiet for probably the first half. And then all of a sudden I was I was just like, I'm here. And I just had all these ahas, and I'm continuing to have all these ahas daily. And so just making that choice that it doesn't matter what's going on around us, as long as we are on the same page and we know what we want and where we're headed. And the fact that we're doing it together for us makes it that much more powerful. And I cannot tell you how many times this has happened this year where I'll be thinking a thought and I'll just keep it to myself for, I just haven't gotten around to saying something about it, or I have the thought and then I forget. And then he comes to me and says that thought out loud to me because he was having the same thought. And that has happened more this year than ever. And so I think having that intention and continuously talking about that intention and talking about where we're going has actually made 2020 be our best year ever in a lot of ways. And you know, I don't want to be insensitive to the people who are being affected by what's going on, because we're all being affected, but we also all have a choice. And so that was a huge moment. I don't remember when that was, sometime in this, maybe April, but that was really big for us being able to move forward and just shift our focus back to where it belonged.
Love that. Well, Ryan, where can brides go to get more from you?
So I have a recording of a free class that I just did a couple weeks ago on how to feel better if you've just rescheduled your wedding. It's at mindfulbride.co/free class. And I just talk about a lot of what we were talking about today, you know, different ways that you can feel better, and the importance of self-care and boundaries and emotions. And then I also have a workshop available right now at blissfullyengaged.com. And that is the Blissfully Engaged Workshop Rescheduling Edition. So I'm talking about all things rescheduling right now because it's just so big in brides' worlds. And but we do touch on getting past that and how to look forward to your future. You just have to get past the feelings that you have over rescheduling. And once you do that, you can change your focus and keep moving forward into your epic love story.
Awesome. And we have those links in the description so you guys can check that out. Ryan, it was such a pleasure to have you on the call. We could talk forever. I just feel like there's so much that we could cover, but thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.